Welcome to this week's Workshop Wednesday, where we're going to talk about using the GA4 Explorer reports. Welcome. My name is Julie Brody, the Director of Measurement for MeasurementMarketing.io. I've been building actionable dashboards for a really long time. Actually started out doing this for manufacturers and then eventually became a measurement marketer, then started teaching measurement marketing, but we still are in the thick of it with all of our dedicated measurement management clients, which means we have lots of different experience with lots of different setups and stuff. So if you have a question, please reach out to us. We'd love to help you. You've also seen myself and our amazing team back there in the Measurement Marketing Academy with all the different courses, all the different tools, all of the different workshops. You've seen it back there. You've seen us back there in Winner Circle, which is our community, Ask an Instructor. So if you are out, if you're in the Academy and you haven't said hi to us, we'd love to hear from you. And just a little reminder that as we go through any of our workshops, any of our trainings, we always encourage you to do one thing. Remember one thing. Don't try to grab everything we're teaching you today. Grab one thing, then come back, watch this again, and get something else. So let's go ahead and get started. Using GA4 Explorer reports. Before we start, we always want to remember our measurement marketing framework. This thing is foundational to all things measurement marketing. Why, you ask? Well, we've all been here from the very beginning, marketing in the blind. We've all been here where we're just kind of like not sure what's working, what's not. We're just kind of throwing things against the wall and hoping something sticks. We're just guessing. But we want to be able to market where we're reliably growing those revenue and profits. Meaning we want to know if we make this change on the page, is it going to increase something or decrease something? Is it going to increase revenue and decrease spend, or is it going to not work? We want to know if we launch a new funnel with a new price point, is it going to work or is it not going to be worth it? We don't know. But we can know if we go through the framework, and that is with your 3 steps: plan, build, and launch, as you see here on the left-hand side. In your plan stage, you go through questions, information, and action. Now, this is just a really quick 1.5 minute overview. We have an entire course on this for free that you have access to. So if you don't have access to it, just hang out for just a moment and I'll tell you how to get to that course. And for those of you that are already Academy members, it is called Win the Measurement Marketing Framework. So go and watch that course if this is completely new to you. And so then we continue on with our build with its results, traffic, story. And then in our launch, we go through listen, forecast, and optimize. So what this is, again, is the Measurement Marketing Framework. There's a course, Win the Measurement Marketing Framework. So that way you can go through and learn what every single step of this is. So that way you can go from marketing in the blind, not knowing what's working, to know what lever to push, or what lever to pull and what button to push in order to get those revenue and profits to grow. All right, let's go ahead and jump into what you're going to actually learn in this particular workshop. How to create a customized report, how to see what users are doing on a page, and how to create a funnel flow to see how each step is converting. I know that's really important. What we all want to be able to do is kind of see how things are working so that you can adjust and optimize. So let's go ahead and check it out. So here we are inside of Google Analytics, inside of our teaching account, and this is the regular home. What we're going to do is hover, and then we're going to click on Explore. Just so you know, Google has done an interesting thing where you see it's called Explore. I think at one point a few years ago, it was actually called Explorer, and then we see this word explorations. So just know that our own team and almost any other expert out there you hear might interchange those words. So just know that there's Explorer reports, and a lot of people will say Explorer reports. So just know that that is basically the same thing. And so inside here, we have a start a new explorations. We have these templates down here, and these are all the ones that we've already created through different little teaching examples. And so we can look at all of these different templates, and in this particular workshop, I'm not going to go through every single one of these because I really want to help you focus on exactly what it is that you want to be able to do, like help you answer very specific questions. So we're going to go ahead and create a blank exploration. And then we can kind of go through the little parts and pieces first, and then we're going to create all kinds of other different explorations. So the very first thing we have this first left-hand column is the variables tab. The right-hand column is the settings, and then everything over here is basically your exploration. And it's on one tab, and you can have up to 10 tabs going across. You can do things like duplicate the tabs, makes it a little bit easier, or you can create a brand new one and it asks you what kind. Go through the other workshop and the other trainings that we have that explain what these different ones are, but we'll show you in this particular workshop the most common ones you will use. Some little pro tips. This stuff here in this left-hand variables column applies to every tab you have. The settings here in the right-hand column only apply to the tab that you are currently on. So I'm going to go ahead and change this one, make a new tab and create a funnel report. And so the settings that are on this right here is only for this funnel exploration. And then once we go through in the settings here are only for this one. The variables is for everything. So let's go ahead and start changing the name. So we're going to call this a workshop example. And the date, again, only applies to everything that we have here, not just to this particular one, but everything. So just be aware of that. And we'll talk more about the date here in just a moment. Segments is a little bit more advanced and a little bit beyond this particular workshop, but just know it is there and super useful. We'll cover that into another workshop, and we do cover that inside our courses inside the Measurement Marketing Academy. If you are a member, then it is in Win Google Analytics for Beyond Basics. We dive into that. All right, so then we have dimensions and metrics. So a little tip for you. If you're wondering what's a dimension, what is a metric? A dimension is basically everything a metric is not. We always start with what a metric is to make it a little bit easier. So even though it's on the bottom, we're going to teach you this one first. A metric is anything you can do math with. Add, subtract, multiply, divide, those type of things. And the metric or a dimension is everything else. So a page, a landing page, a product name, those type of things. So if you're wondering where do you find them, that's just a pro tip for you. So let's go ahead and jump into our dimensions. And when you come into your exploration, you're going to want to come in with some sort of question. So we are going to pretend, this is our home page, obviously. We're going to say we have a question from Mercer, and he wants to know what are people doing on the home page, and we want to be able to build out a dashboard to measure what people are doing. So the first thing we're going to do is build an exploration to answer those questions. So the question we need to answer is what are people doing on the home page? And one of the things we can measure is what are they clicking on? And because we have our measurement set up, we have click text, we have click URL, we have those type of things that are already being measured. So we're going to make sure that that's what we're going to look for. And so in order to do that, we need certain dimensions to be able to answer those questions. One of those is page location. One of those could be host name. In this particular case, it's not really relevant, but you might need that. Just know that's here. And then if you wanted any of these other ones, you could. We can do this one if we wanted to, just in case. Maybe we think we might want to know it by traffic source. So we can do, session source medium, and we have those. And then because we know we want to know what people are clicking on, we can go ahead and say link text. And we can also go ahead and grab click URL if we wanted to. So let's go ahead and choose the import. This is really important. If I were to click off of here and click over here, all of my little things that I just checked are gone. And then I have to circle back and do it all over again. So these little buttons here, import, sometimes you'll see them as apply or save or something like that. Just be aware, and so you just save yourself some time. Now metrics are the things that we do math with. So we're just going to click in here. And for this particular question, we don't need anything with e-commerce. We're really just kind of wanting to know what users are clicking on and understanding the GA4 schema in the data, we know that those are events. And so we're going to probably look for event count, maybe. Maybe we want to know it by total user. And so we put in user, or maybe we want to know it by session. We're not quite sure what it is that we're going to compare it to. So we're going to go ahead and grab all three. So we're going to go ahead and choose import. And there we go. And so if you did have your measurement plan and you knew that you had this particular exploration to answer several other questions, you can go ahead and grab it all here, so then you'll be ready for all of your different tabs. And so if we always encourage you to do have a measurement plan, but for this workshop, we're jumping right in. We're assuming you have your plan. We're assuming you have your questions that you need to answer, and you know what actions you need to take. All right, so then what we're going to do is we have our settings column, and we're just going to jump straight down in here to the rows. So we can see there's green on this one and green on this one that says columns, and then values is our metric. Little fun tip, if you put anything in the row, it's not going to, you can drag and drop or click in there and do it. There's nothing's going to show up until you have a value, a metric. So I can just say sessions, and we can have that there. If I remove this, we still have a value, which is nice. Just a little pro tip for you there. So what we want to do is we're asking the question, what are people doing on the home page? So what we can do is jump straight down to this filter, and we can go to page location, and then we can go through and say it exact matches. Let's go exactly matches. And we're going to put this one in here. And I know it technically would have some parameters behind it or something like that. And we can go through and do some regular expressions. You can definitely do that. But for the sake of time, we're just going to go ahead and apply. So now what we're seeing is the number of sessions that are on this particular page. But what we really want to know is what is it that they're clicking on. So we're going to choose click text and see what we can see. So now what we can see here, and this blank one here is basically saying, hey, I don't have a value here. So you can probably think of it as more of the total, like the overall summary if you go through and add everything up. And if you're looking like, I think there's more things than just 10 to click on, you are probably right. And that's because this says show rows is only set to 10. And we can see we're under the row section. Show rows is 10. We can go all the way up to 500 now. I think it used to be just 100. So it's nice that we have more as the software has evolved. And so we can go through and see all of these other different ones. And obviously we have different languages coming through. So that's where we see those. So if we're wanting to know what are people clicking on and doing on the home page, we have that here. Now, let's say we wanted to know about scroll. What we can do is duplicate this tab, and we know we don't want link text. We want maybe scroll depth. So let's go ahead and get rid of that, and let's add in scroll. Well, we don't have it here yet, so all we have to do is go back to our dimensions, click it here, and look for scroll. Let's go find that. And it says % scroll. So that's the one we're looking for. Technically, again, this is a teaching count, so you're going to see lots of duplications in here as we go through and teach. But we're going to choose this one right here, and we're going to import. And then we're going to choose here and go through the exact same thing. And now we have that. And so again, here's roughly our total. And then we can go through and see how many users go through and get to 10%, 25, 50, 75, 90. And that's how you can see that. Don't really think we would care about scroll on a home page, but just a really nice example of how you can basically duplicate and make a really quick change and get some more answers. So if we wanted to name these things to make it a little bit easier to navigate, we can call this home page clicks. And then we can move this little one over here, drag it and drop it, and say home page scroll. And then we have that. We're answering that question. What are the users doing on the home page? And we would use this to kind of guide us as we're building a dashboard in Looker Studio or something like that. So we can kind of understand what it looks like, what the words are, and so it makes it a little bit faster to build. And if you notice, we're back here on the homepage clicks, and we see % scrolled over here. Because remember, variables is for every single tab. Settings is only for the current tab that you're on. So let's go through this real quick just so you can see all these different parts and pieces really, really fast. This is in depth inside of our WIN courses, WIN Google Analytics 4 Basics and Beyond Basics. So you can go through and get more inside the courses, but this is just where you could change your report. And then obviously if you change your report, you're going to change your settings down here. So if you are liking this, I would encourage you to duplicate and then change so you don't accidentally, because there is no true undo that might, once you start changing things, there's a little bit that you can work with, but just to be on the safe side, you can, I would just duplicate, and then you can go through and change things with a different line chart. Might be awesome, or a pie chart. Those are the ones that I would, you can have there. Bar charts are also possibly useful. Probably I've never seen a useful scatter plot. My brain hurts when looking at those things, but maybe that's useful for you. Just know there's different visualizations that you can do. The segment, again, we mentioned that one's a little bit more beyond this workshop, a little bit more advanced, but we do cover that in our courses. You can have multiple rows. You can do link URL, like what is it that they're actually clicking on? Depending on what it is you're looking at, it might make it a little bit harder to kind of really see the whole story. So that's where you can maybe have multiple tabs, or just be a little bit more careful exactly what you're asking for. You can have your start row change, or the number of rows. We kind of adjust, we mentioned those. And you can have nested rows if you wanted to. Again, a little bit more advanced. Then you can also have columns. And so if you wanted to do it by source medium, and you can kind of see it, it's more the pivot table style, sort of, kind of. And so you just kind of see those. Again, if it's going to help you answer your questions and really see what users are doing, then awesome. And then same thing with the columns, you can have limitations on those. Values, you can have multiple values. You can go through, all of them, depending on if there is the correct scope. Now, when we say scope, it means does this dimension, this metric work with this dimension or not? And if they don't work together, then you'll get an error of some sort, and you just kind of have to be like, oh, let's take that one away, and we have to duplicate the tab and work the question in a different way. This particular way of doing this really, really helps you understand the Google Analytics 4 schema so much better. Like, it is so much easier to understand how the data works together by being inside these explorations. And then you can go through and change your cell type if you want it to be just plain text, if you don't want those bars, or if you wanted a heat map, you have that option, or if you want to keep it the default bars, you can. Then you can have multiple filters. If you say, I want it only this page and I only want to see organic traffic, you absolutely could change that as well. Like, what is the organic traffic? What is the paid traffic doing? You could do that. Just adjust this up here to make sure that you're indicating, so if someone else comes in, they can see it. Now, I just mentioned something else really, really important. I mentioned someone else coming in. This report, and I'm actually going to go ahead and do something, duplicate this tab. It's going to get all funny on me. Here we go. We're going to go to our explorations. So our workshop example, this is the one that we are in on the other tab. Okay, this one, as you see, this little guy is just a single guy. This one is the silhouette, so it looks like it's shared, and we're going to show the different examples. So this one, you can say share, duplicate, rename, all these other different fun things here, and this one here is unshare, because this one looks like we are the owner. We are the owner, as opposed to maybe someone else on the team. Again, this is our teaching account, so that's why we have a lot of these things in there. If we wanted to share, we could. Currently, and this is what the, this is the current way of this. I really, really hope this changes. Maybe one day it will. Maybe it will change tomorrow and you're not going to see this. But currently, if you share it, the other users are in read-only mode. So if they came into, like, they're logged in as a different user, they come into the same property, they come to explorations, they're going to see this title, this exact title. They're going to see that you are the owner. They're going to see the same thing that you see. They will see this looks like two people here. But guess what? They will not be able to edit anything. And the really big thing that they can't edit, that people want to be able to edit, is the dates. So that's the kind of the kicker of that. So sometimes you have to, the other user has to duplicate it, and then you have two different versions. So I really hope one day that Google will fix this so it can be more collaborative, because that is the thing that makes sense. So this is one way to share. Here is the other way to share. You can have this, you get the same thing that you have. You can also export the data. So you can also go through, and it's a really nice way to just pull it into a sheet of some sort. So now you know how to create your own little custom report to answer questions how users are engaging into some sort of how they're engaging with your page. Now let's go into a actual funnel, and this is what we use this for often, so often. We already have all of this. We technically don't need a bunch of this unless we're going to use it for some sort of breakdown or some sort of next action, which we don't use this very often. Most of the time we use it for this in this instance. So what we're going to do is we're going to start on steps. And we could probably do an entire course on all these explorations, especially this stuff here. So we're going to go through it a little bit quickly, again, because we deep dive inside our courses. We just want to show you what is possible at the highest level, but there is a bajillion different ways to customize this. So we have back over here, we have a journey. So someone comes into our Toolbox membership. This is the free membership where they get all the fun tools. And then after they opt in, they get offered some courses and some basically the traffic and leads masterclass. And then so after that, they go to the sales page and then, the cart page, and then they go on to the thank you page. So what we're going to do is I'm going to grab this little piece here, and then we're going to go back to here, and what we're going to say is the condition. We have all of our different dimensions here. If you have custom events set up, you absolutely can do that. If you have your ACE results set up where we have aware, engage, and complete. We have these things set up, but I'm going to show you just in case maybe you haven't set those up yet. You're brand new, you already have data collected. So I'm going to show you how to do it without having any sort of customizations. And technically, you don't even have to have Tag Manager to do this part right here. So everyone should be able to do this if analytics is on those pages. So we're going to do page location, and we're going to say page location contains, and we're saying this. And you can see it comes up with all of these other different options. I'm just saying it needs to contain this. And this is where one of those little fun little things, if you click off of it, you lose all your changes. So make sure you press apply. And then we're going to go to our next step, and that's where we go back to our little thing here, and we're going to say, okay, then they go here. The next step is we're going to say page location. And technically we could do page path and query screen, page path and screen class, but we're just using page location for the time being. And we're going to say apply. And then we can go on to the next step. And then again, we're going to say page location. And then we're going to come back and grab our URL for the cart just to kind of see what's going on. We could technically also grab this whole piece. I'm just grabbing a small piece just to make it go a little faster. If you were doing page path and screen class, you could not use the host name. We could not use measurementmarketing.io or Infusionsoft because that is not part of that. Page location has all of those pieces. Let's actually check that out real quick. So we're saying, I need to know if you have this. Actually, let's go back up to this one. This one we have a little bit more. So you see all these measurementmarketing.io, all this other stuff. I'm going to grab this, copy that again, and we're going to show you page path and screen class here. And so you see we don't have all that extra stuff here as well. So either one works. Either one works. I just prefer to use the page location just because it has a more flexible scope with other things. So we're going to go ahead and have that there. Now we can go through and name. So we're going to say this is Toolbox Offer Page. Then we're going to go say this is Toolbox TY. And then we're going to say Tracking Leads Sales Masterclass Offer. So it's like an upsell, order bump, whatever you want to call it. And then we're going to say this is Tracking Leads Sales Masterclass Cart. And we're just going to go ahead and save. Normally we would go ahead and put the thank you page, but for just the time, we're going to do that. And so what we're seeing is we have about 266 users see the page. Of those that saw the step one, it is only if they saw they only saw step one, they are then it's 111, which makes that conversion rate of 41.7. We also see a completion rate of step one, which is a repetition of this one here, the conversion rate. That's super useful as we have more and more and more steps. And then we have, in this instant, we don't have anyone in this time frame going to that cart. So let's go ahead and expand our date range. I'm going to go ahead and say what's going to happen all the way out to October to, let's say, yesterday. Let's go ahead and apply that. See what happens. And so we're still getting 0. That seems weird. Maybe it's a brand new cart. Maybe there's something going on with the tracking. Let's go ahead and double check our logic here. And it also could be a cross-domain thing. There's a lot of things going on with cross-domain, with going through, bouncing through different domains. And obviously this is our teaching site. I know it works on our regular production one, but this is where you can then go troubleshoot and learn about that. But for the sake of building a funnel, we have this. We're able to see, oh, we're kind of being consistent with our conversion rate. It's above, it's in between that 30 to 40 where we want it to be. We're just not getting people to go to the cart. Let's say these numbers are actually real. We're not getting anybody to go to the cart. That's where we have our action. Be like, WTF, marketing team, no one is going to the cart. So you need to change the page. You need to change the copy. You need to make the button more obvious. And you need to do something. Tell them not to go to their email just yet. Something to get them to go to the cart. To see if they want to process that order or not. And so that's how you can really quickly create a funnel. Once you get used to the explorations, you can do this kind of funnel in a matter of minutes. If a client says, are they going from this page to this page? Are they doing this, then this? A lot of times we'll get questions like, are they pressing play and then going to the cart or not? And so one thing you could do is say, add a step above, and then you could have your event of pressing play, or maybe scrolling, or whatever action it is that you want them to do before going to the next step. Are they clicking on the anchor buttons? There's lots and lots, so many different things you can do, and there's so many other different options. I'm not going to go through those because again, it's like we're just going to go down the rabbit hole because there's so many different things you can do. If you are troubleshooting, again, I encourage you to duplicate, because that's going to make your whole life a whole lot easier. And then make sure you name these. I want to call this toolbox funnel. Make sure you name them to keep your life a whole lot easier. You can also break this down by your session, source, your different traffics and stuff like that. Again, make sure it works with the scope of whatever you're choosing in here, how you're defining your steps. And so then you can go through and see that, how each traffic source is converting, and you have your conversion rates for each traffic source right here. And you can expand it out to up to 15 rows currently. Maybe that'll change eventually, but there you go. You have that. You do have this other awesome chart up here to kind of give you a visual. And I'm going to get rid of this one real quick. You can still add a filter if you wanted to, say only show me organic traffic, only show me desktop, only show me mobile. You can do all of that here. Again, encourage you to name it properly up here so you know exactly what you're looking at, or someone else knows what they're looking at. And then you can make it an open funnel. An open funnel means that they didn't have to do the step 1, or they didn't have to do step 2. So we can do that. And there we go. We could see, oh, there was a few people, likely the internal team, that went ahead and jumped in. So continue, new funnel entries is 47. So we could see that right there. So that is how we can do that. And then going on, you can also go ahead and change it here. But again, if you start changing things, you lose what your settings are. So if you're going to do this, again, duplicate and then make those changes. And then you do have a trended funnel option. I'm not quite a fan of this because I really like to be able to see the kind of the visual of this, but maybe there's a reason that you would want to have that particular piece. Now we're going to give you one more fun pro tip that I wasn't planning on doing in this particular workshop, but I feel like you can use this to troubleshoot and answer questions really quickly. Again, want to come into your explorations to answer specific questions, or else you will get lost. It's okay to come in here and get familiar with the tool and kind of play around with things and just kind of practice, but once you're going to learn more if you come in with an actual question. So we're going to click on this little plus button and we're going to say a path exploration. And it kind of does all this defaulty stuff or whatever it is. I really don't care for any of this, so I always choose to start over. Now we have an option to do starting point and ending point. Ending point is absolutely brilliant, because if you want to know, well, how are they getting to my sales page? How are they getting to the cart? Maybe you have 4 different sales pages that all end up to the same cart. How are they doing that? Well, you can create the ending point. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to say page path and screen class, and we're going to choose the sales page. This is the sales page right here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to be able to see, well, how are they getting there? And so in this instance, we're saying, okay, we're seeing that's the home page. So majority is the home page. Then we have the toolbox, and then we have this other little offer here, and then we have these other things. So I can say like, well, how are they getting to the toolbox? And it's like, oh, it is the home page, or it's the membership, or you have these other things going on. So if we want to know how are they getting there, this is what we could see. If maybe we had a bunch of different blogs that had the offer page on it, we would then be able to see, well, how many blogs or which blogs are sending users to our particular sales page or a particular offer, whatever it is we're doing. That's what ending point is phenomenal at being able to do. And so we can then click start over again. If you wanted to save that, you remember, you can duplicate it and then do it. So now we're going to choose starting point, and we're going to again choose page path and screen class. These other ones, my personal opinion, are not useful at all. I personally don't like event name, because you can have a lot of different events in between. Like you can have a 10% scroll, then a 25% scroll, then a 50% scroll, and it's going to look for every single one of those in their path. That's not really useful for us. What we usually want to know is about page path. So if we're asking again the question, what are people doing on the home page? We can click here, say, show me the home page. And then what are they doing? Okay, we can see a lot of them are going into either the offer page or to log in or any of those different things. And so we have a way of seeing, like, okay, they go there, and then it looks like they circle back to the home page again. This is where we could go to marketing and be like, hey guys, they're on the home page. They go here because that's the main button on the above the fold for them to go to. Then they circle back. More than half circle back. Okay, so this is where we go to marketing team, and we'd say, like, why are they doing that? And it looks like they go back again. Y'all, that is crazy. Obviously, we do teach, we do like encourage people to kind of go around, they look at stuff on our site because we're teaching things and they're, seeing it the way we're seeing it too. So sometimes that happens. But we can obviously, again, they're going back again. So this is where we go to marketing and say, hey guys, help us figure this out. What are they coming here for? What are they looking for that they're clearly not getting? And that way we can address that and make that better user experience. And obviously we're losing stuff there. And so, and you can also right click and we can either exclude or something like that, whatever it is. So there's lots of different things you can do here. These are the most common types of explorations you'll use, which is the free form, the first one, the funnel, and the path exploration. Great for troubleshooting for particular questions that you have. And it really helps you to understand the data schema of how the dimensions and the metrics, which ones work together, which ones don't. If you get an error, it is likely a scoping issue of a dimension not working with a particular metric. So go in and play with the explorations. If you haven't done it at all, get in there, dive in, and just practice with it, because this is really what you should be doing before you build any sort of dashboard in Looker or anywhere else. It's where you need to build first, because it helps you see what Google Analytics 4 sees before you pull it somewhere else. And a couple of other things just to be aware of. We're not seeing it here, but sometimes you might see if it's sampled or has a threshold. Just be aware of that. There's another workshop that Manisha did that explains thresholding and sampling. Just know that you might see those depending on how much data you have and the time frame that you're pulling. And so that might make it so it's maybe it's not actually 1100, almost 1200 that are doing this. Maybe it's more, the number you might see is slightly different, but the trends and the patterns will still be the same. So that is your GA4 explorations. What was your one thing? I know there was quite a few, but we would love to hear from it. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We'd love to have you follow us and see what's coming up with all things measurement marketing on every week's workshop Wednesday. And if you're wanting to know more about this thing that we call the Measure Marketing Framework, and that has that course out there for you, along with all of those free tools that you kind of saw a sneak peek of, then you can join the Measurement Marketing Academy Toolbox membership. It is the free side, but if you're wanting to know more about those courses that we mentioned, where we dive a whole lot deeper into the explorations and all things GA4, there is also the Measurement Marketing Academy. All those different courses, you get access to the Winner Circle and Ask an Instructor and all these other things. So take a look and see if this is the right choice for you, which choice would be better. Either choice is at measure.tips/getacademy, and we are back there waiting. And please, if you do join the Measure Marketing Academy, reach out to us and say hi. We'd love to hear from you. Love to have a conversation with you about what you're doing and how we can help you grow. So that is using GA4 Explorer reports. We'll see you next time.